From the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta, Georgia, this is CampusLore Live, presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. I'm your host, Drew Butler, joined as always by my co-host, Aaron Murray, and we have a very special and timely guest this week, Calvin Ridley. Calvin was a two-time national champion, a two-time SEC champion, a first-team All-SEC wide receiver at the University of Alabama, and he was selected with the 26th overall pick in the 2018 NFL Draft by the Atlanta Falcons, who play right here across the street in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Calvin, thanks so much for being here, my man. Obviously, you're sitting next to two Georgia guys. You went to Alabama, a huge SEC championship rematch of the national championship last year goes down across the street at Mercedes-Benz Stadium this Saturday. Thanks for being here. How's everything going?
Everything's going great. Thanks for having me here, but everything's going pretty good.
Awesome. What's it like this week, right? Now, you're playing for the Falcons, so you're a hometown guy, but Georgia, Alabama, 1 versus 4. It's for an invitation to the college football playoff. What's the atmosphere like in the locker room? A lot of jabbing, or you think Alabama's going to take care of business?
Yeah, I definitely think, Alabama's going to win the game, but I think the game is pretty even. I think, each team is pretty even. Like, wide receivers, Alabama has some of the best wide receivers in college right now. But, Georgia has some of the best DBs. Like, they got Baker. He's playing great ball. Their safeties come down and play real physical. So, as I watch, I feel like both teams are pretty even. Like, it's going to be a great game. So.
Well, you mentioned Alabama's got great wide receivers. Georgia's got a pretty special wide receiver also, notably Ridley, who is your younger brother. What's that like? Have you guys had communication this week? What's that atmosphere been like?
I haven't talked to him yet, but I'm really letting him, get his mind right, be with his team, so because it's a big week.
All I know is if my little brother was playing this, I went to their school, I'd be talking trash all week. I'd be like, "You're gonna get smoked. Our DBs are gonna just knock you down."
I can't do it like
Why
that.
not?
At the end of the day, I want him to do good.
You want them to lose, but him do well. That's nice of you. My brother and I we go back and forth.
Man, I'm Alabama all the way, but I want him to, kill it. But I feel like Alabama's going to.
Now, is the Ridley family like the Murray family, where the older brother is the superstar in the family?
Oh.
Our family.
It's all about the younger brother. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I feel like
he agrees.
Yeah, I feel like my younger brother is more of everybody wants to go to his games and more watch him more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you're having a great year in your rookie season for the Falcons. 8 touchdowns already, over 600 yards with 5 games to go. Congratulations on all your success and continued success as you dominate your rookie season. You and Aaron do have something in common, though. You guys are both from the state of Florida. You were a 5-star recruit. You were heavily recruited, and you end up at Alabama. What was the thought process there? Where were you going to go if it wasn't for Alabama?
If I didn't go to Alabama, I was going to go either Miami or Florida State.
Awesome. And it's got to be cool, though, getting recruited by Nick Saban, Aaron. I mean, probably the greatest recruiter in college football history. What's his messaging like throughout that entire process?
Basically, he basically told us that you're going to come here, you're going to become a better player, you're going to win games, you're going to win championships, straight up, and it was the truth. So I really just, wanted to, get better as a player, make it to the NFL, and just be better.
Absolutely.
So, I went with it. It's Nick Saban. I couldn't turn that down.
Yeah,
man.
he didn't lie to you.
Yeah.
They played in 3 college football playoffs, Aaron. I mean, we were just happy to go to good bowl games.
A lot of trophies, and your first-round pick. So everything he told you,
he's gonna tell you, that he's gonna put you in position to do that. You obviously have to go in there and put in the work and put yourself in that position. But why not go to Alabama? You have a great chance of, becoming something special.
Absolutely. So you played in the college football playoff 3 times. We mentioned you're a 2-time national champion and a 2-time SEC champion. If you were in that locker room like you were last year and you're getting ready to play in the SEC championship with a berth to the college football playoff on the line, what's everybody thinking about? What's practice like this week in Tuscaloosa?
Very, very serious, especially playing Georgia. You play them again, rematch, they probably thinking like, we played Clemson 1 year, we won, we played them again, lost. So there's a lot going on. Coach probably on everybody right now. So everybody's really, I know how the players are. They're just real focused right now. They're tuning everything out, trying to get ready for the game. But it's a lot of pressure right now in the building, though. A lot of worry and probably going on and stuff. But that's how it is with every week.
No question. I don't know who I'm going to pick in that game. We're going to break it down today, and that could be one of our predictions for Believe It. and we'll go to it right now. This is Believe It, where we state what we believe to be true in college football. Believe It is presented by Geico. You won't believe how easy it is to switch and save hundreds on car insurance with Geico. Believe it. All right, Aaron, I'm going to you. I've been wrong on Notre Dame the entire season, so apologies. We'll just wait until the college football playoff. I know I'll be proven right then. I'm throwing it to you first. Have the floor.
I'll let you get one right if you want to say, I believe Notre Dame gets into the playoffs.
That could be a good one.
If you want to use that one.
You take it.
Because they're pretty much in. We'll break down the game
Yeah.
in the SEC Championship game, but I believe it. I just got back from Vegas. I called the game, UNLV game this past weekend. So I believe I just got it in me that Georgia will cover. I'm going to hold off and say who wins the game.
Okay.
But I think 13, 14 points, whatever it is right now, Georgia will cover. I just think with the run game, the way the defense is playing, it's going to be a closer game than what people think.
Absolutely.
And what Vegas thinks as well.
That's a good one. Calvin,
Georgia and Alabama.
Yeah, what do you believe to be true in college football right now?
I definitely, like right now Alabama's, obviously the best team right now. But Georgia's playing, like he said, great football. I've been watching the last couple of games. They're playing great. And teams are pretty much even, but I definitely think Alabama's going to win the game. I mean, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I believe it when I say, and I'm going to stick with Notre Dame here, okay? You got your Notre Dame green on. We'll stick with the theme. I believe it when I say I think it's a joke that Notre Dame gets to take conference championship weekend off. This is the most important weekend in college football. This is going to decide who gets what seed in the college football playoff. And Notre Dame, what are they doing? They're sitting at home. They're not even having to play a football game. Yes, they have some sort of quasi-relationship with the ACC. They should be playing Clemson in the ACC championship game. I don't care if they're an independent. I don't care if they're a national brand. They should be playing football this weekend. It's a joke that they're already in the college football playoff.
I agree.
And don't even have to play. Believe
I
it.
agree.
What was Alabama doing last year at this time? What was Alabama doing there?
That's a great point.
What was Alabama doing?
But at that point,
they were chilling and they had lost.
They didn't even play in the conference championship.
But at that
Exactly, and
point,
they got in.
but
they
that-
didn't win their conference.
They played with a different set
Notre
of
Dame,
rules.
listen,
Alabama
Notre Dame
and
won
Notre
the
Dame.
independent
But at that
conference.
point,
Absolutely.
at that point, we were clearly, one of the best
top
teams.
four
And clearly, right now, Notre
Yeah,
Dame
I mean,
is
but
one
you
of the
can
best
look
four
at Notre
teams.
Dame and say, okay, if we
What?
stick them in this conference, would they?
I don't know.
be
They're
there
playing
right
great
now?
defense. They're running the ball, and Ian Book is one of the best quarterbacks in all the country right
For
now.
sure, they are
I
doing
mean,
that.
they are a complete football team. Is Alabama a complete football team? Offense, defense, special teams? No.
Wow.
No.
So what you're saying right now is Notre Dame's better than Alabama
I'm not
right now.
saying that. I'm just
Yeah,
saying
you are.
complete football team. Notre Dame has every component. Alabama
I
didn't
feel
play
like
in the championship last week.
we're a complete team in Alabama.
There's no kicking game. You don't need it. I'm not saying
Yeah, that's
you
very
don't
true.
need it.
Don't need it.
Exactly, but it's not a complete team.
I think the bottom line here is that schools like Notre Dame and Alabama get to play by a different set of rules, and that's just a fact. So deal with
Amen.
it
It's true.
across college football.
True.
All right, let's recap what happened last week. It was rivalry week, one of my favorite, also Thanksgiving. Some say the camera adds 10 pounds, but it's not the camera. It's just me. I went crazy last week. Rivalry week was crazy. No game was crazier, though, than number 22 Texas A&M beating number 7 LSU. This game went into 7 overtimes. The final score was 74-72. It was the highest scoring game in FBS history. And let me just be 100% honest with you guys. Delpit got the interception to end the game in regulation. I turned the TV off and I went to bed. I woke up, my phone was going crazy. They went into 7 overtimes.
nuts.
So I watched it all. And the bottom line is, Calvin, these refs were awful. This game should have been ended in LSU's favor multiple times, but it wasn't, and it ended up being one of the craziest games of the weekend, of the year.
Oh, it was nuts. I mean, I was calling my game, UNLV in Nevada, and my producer, I keep saying, oh my God, they're going to the 3rd overtime. They're going to the 5th overtime. My producer's in my ear, like, Aaron, focus on your game. I'm like, are you not watching this down there in the truck? It was awesome. I mean, offense, Joe Burrow was having a heck of a game, Kellen Mond. The first 4 quarters, not great, but I mean, he led his team to victory after 7 overtimes, the 2-point conversions. It was an exciting game. And you wouldn't think A&M, LSU, 2 good defenses, that the offense would have that much success, especially over and over again in the overtime. But, hey, they did it. It was fun to watch. Yeah. And I got to tell you what, A&M, and I'm sorry, I feel like I'm bashing A&M, Alabama, but I promise you later in the show, I'm going to show some love. But A&M in 2 years, how much money they have, the facilities, Jimbo, I think 2020, 2021,
Okay.
I can see A&M, as soon as Tua leaves, I could see A&M vying for that West with Alabama.
Absolutely. Another crazy game last weekend that had a lot of implication on the college football playoff ranking was number 10 Ohio State blowing out number 4 Michigan. They put up 62 points. They beat Michigan 62-39. And if you've been watching CampusLore Live, the guy to my left's been telling you Michigan's defense is the best in the nation all year long, and statistics would prove you correct. But
you
Aaron,
said that?
I don't know how Michigan's top-ranked defense can let up 62 points to Ohio State. What happened?
I'll let you talk to this for a quick while I gather my thoughts.
What was the best ranked team they played?
Michigan.
State
they
played.
Ohio State, the best ranked team that they had played before Michigan was probably where they played TCU. They played Michigan State.
Okay. Michigan played Notre Dame.
Okay.
Yeah.
I visited Ohio State when I was in college.
Yeah.
And when I went there, they do not like Michigan. Like, so when you play a team like, you know, they're ranked number 3 coming in, they're at home, bro. Like the mindset of the players are totally different.
I totally agree with you.
That's probably what it was.
Yep.
I mean, they went in the game with a whole different mindset and they played great, bro.
You can't tell me they're looking at Ohio State versus Nebraska awful. Lost to Purdue, and it was ugly.
Let Maryland score 51.
Let Maryland score 51, and Maryland should have won that game. I mean, wide open 2-point conversion. You look at Ohio State and how bad they play, you can't tell me that you felt confident heading in that same game. If you're an Ohio State fan, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah,
and Michigan has been playing so good so far this season. And just one of those days, Dwayne Haskins couldn't miss anyone.
Yeah.
Shea Patterson, I tell you what, you know what? You talk about getting tight in a football game. I know the stats, he had 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. But a couple of those throws, he was like aiming it like a dart. You know, as a quarterback, sometimes you get in a funk, or pitchers in baseball, where you start aiming instead of just letting it rip and throw it. Trust me, I've had those moments where Bobo almost yanked me out of a game. Mm-hmm. He looked like that for the entire game. I mean, dudes were wide open, and he was just during the football. I mean, throwing it 5 yards short. So he didn't have a great game. Defense got put in bad situations, and it was pretty ugly. I'm not gonna lie.
So Jim Harbaugh's never beaten Ohio State, and this was his best chance, and he got clobbered 62-39. I don't know if it'll ever happen. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Harbaugh after the season, if maybe he jets off to the NFL. Calvin, you mentioned rivalries bring out different mindsets. Well, there's no bigger rivalry, maybe on par with the game Ohio State and Michigan, than the Iron Bowl. Number 1 Alabama is taking on Auburn. Auburn beat them last year, kept Alabama out of the SEC championship game. Alabama gets revenge, 52-21. Tua Tagovailoa, 25-32. 324 yards, 5 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. Mentally, those guys were going into that game, and there was no chance they were going to lose, right?
There was no chance. I mean, well, I can't say that. It's the Iron Bowl.
Yeah.
I cannot say that. You know, you go in the Iron Bowl, you go in and you just think to win the game, because you never know what happens. Like last year, we didn't think they had a chance of beating us, like honestly, and we got whooped.
Absolutely.
So
Kick 6.
Kick 6.
Kick
I mean,
six.
crazy stuff happens in that game for sure. But Tua goes off again. He accounts for 6 touchdowns in a huge rivalry game against a pretty good SEC defense. Is the Heisman race over, Aaron?
Well, that's what I wanted to bring up, because everyone's all about Kyler Murray right now and all the stats and the rushing and the passing. Tua put up 6 touchdowns against Auburn's defense. Is Kyler Murray playing Auburn's defense No, he's playing defenses that give up 40 to 50 points a game.
Exactly.
Tua is doing this week in and week out. I'm finally showing Alabama some love for you.
Tua
is doing it week in and week out against SEC defenses. And I'm
Tua
I think Kyler's good, but
Tua spreads the love, bro.
Yes.
Like, they have 5 different receivers with over 500 receiving yards.
It's crazy. I
And
mean,
they all
he
have
really
over-
does
have over
distribute
4
the ball.
touchdowns.
And the tight end does a tremendous job for him, too. He finds him as well. So
Tight end's so good.
listen, nothing against Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray is a stud. He's going to be a stud if he goes to NFL or MLB, whatever it is. I think he's number 2 clearly in the Heisman race, but Tua's doing it against the best competition week in and week out, and he's only doing it in 2 or 3 quarters.
Well, he's going to get some great competition this weekend especially. Championship week is here. Like I said, in my Believe It, this is the most important week of the college football season. It's going to determine who gets into and at what seeding the college football playoffs and how they will shake out. All right, so you've played in championship games. You've played in championship games. I've even played in an SEC championship game. How is it different than a big regular season game? Because it seems like there's kind of that bowl atmosphere. You're in a neutral site. You've got a lot riding on the line. Calvin, what's the approach like at Alabama when you have to play in an SEC championship?
We prepare the same way if we were preparing for a regular game. Yeah, we're not going to do much different. You know, it doesn't feel much different to me when I go into a national championship game or the first game of the season. So they're all the same, different scenery, but nothing different.
Absolutely. Aaron, would you agree with that? When you were at Georgia getting ready to play LSU or Alabama in 2012, is it the same mentality? Because Georgia either had to win to get in or win to get into a big-time bowl.
I think you're definitely more excited. I mean, you earned it. You should feel proud about representing, whether it's the East or West in the SEC, in that conference championship game. But there's a reason why you're in the game, is because your process from whether it's Sunday or Monday up until Friday night or Saturday morning has been consistent, it's been spot on, and you've perfected your craft. So why change that now?
Yeah.
I mean, do what you do during the week, whether it's I'm watching film on Monday, I'm watching third downs on Tuesday, red zone on Wednesday, doing this on Thursday, I'm getting a massage on Friday. That's what got you there.
Yeah.
So keep doing it. But maybe bring a little bit more juice and excitement, and then just go out there and have fun. But like I said, you're there for a reason. Now just go out there and execute.
In those type of games, man, like, you get in those games, you wanna do something so bad.
Yeah.
Because of the big stage, and it's like everybody's here, like, and you just need to relax. Like, that's what makes you play better, when you just relax and do what you do, like he said, and don't overdo it.
Absolutely. Let's do what we do, and let's break down this SEC championship game. It's number 4 Georgia taking on number 1 Alabama, right across the street here in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Alabama's a 2-touchdown favorite, Aaron. You mentioned it in your Believe It. Alabama is a 2-touchdown favorite, and this is a rematch of the 2018 National Championship game. It's the first ever conference championship that is a rematch of the previous year's National Championship game. Both teams blew out their rivals a week ago. Auburn got crushed by Alabama, Calvin, and Georgia dominated Georgia Tech, so they're both riding high. I would make the case that Georgia maybe is playing better football at this point over the last month or so, but Alabama is Alabama, Aaron, and they have beaten every team this year by 20 points or more. It's just crazy what they've been able to do, and I'll just start off by saying this. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind Alabama is already in the college football playoff. If they lose to Georgia, it does not matter. They are going to the college football playoff. Georgia needs to win to get in.
Well, that's completely true, but I guarantee you Alabama's not saying that in their locker room. They're saying we're going to win this game. We must win this game to get in. They want a perfect season. Everyone wants a perfect season. But breaking it down a little bit, let's Georgia's offense first. I love what they're doing right now. Jake Fromm's accurate. He's taking care of the football. Swift and Holyfield, I mean, that combination could be probably the most deadly in all of college football right now. And when Swift is healthy, I think Swift's the best running back in all of college football too. So if they can dominate the line of scrimmage, which Georgia's offense line is getting healthier, if Swift and Holyfield can do their thing, and if Jake Fromm can protect the football like he has his entire career, I think you make the game more difficult for Alabama. Because Alabama's used to 3-and-outs and getting turnovers, short field, scoring quick. The game all of a sudden is 21-0 in the first 5 minutes because they play so dominant defensively early on in the game, where Georgia gets a couple first downs, they punt them back, make Alabama drive 80 yards every single time. I think that's how Georgia stays in the game. And if they're in the game in the fourth quarter and you make Alabama's kicker kick it, you never know what can happen. But
who knows? Calvin, how does Alabama win this game? They just do what they do, or does Georgia have to do something wrong?
Alabama has too much offense. Like, best receivers, not against anybody, but some of the best receivers, man. Outside, the inside, you have some of the best running backs. The line is good, and man, I promise you, they're gonna play on Saturday night.
Yeah,
they're gonna play, bro. So man, Georgia just, man, I think it's gonna be tight, but man, Alabama is just a little bit too much.
Let me ask you one question before we let you get out of here. Okay, Tua Tagovailoa, who's one of the greatest quarterback seasons, is happening right now in front of our eyes. Unbelievable. Last year in the national championship game, he comes in the second half, and you were on that team. You come back from 13 points down, and you beat Georgia. Now, I don't want to put you on the spot, and we're not going to, because Jalen Hurts is an unbelievable quarterback. His records and statistics speak for themselves, but what Tua's been able to do this year, you said the way he distributes the football, his accuracy, his consistency, it's insane.
Well, the second half of that championship, every receiver touched the ball. And, every person on that offense touched the ball, and that helped us win that game.
Absolutely.
He spread it the love. Like, he's different, man. So
he is different. It's a generational talent for sure. All right, we need your prediction on this Saturday's SEC championship game. What's going to happen and what's the score going to be?
Alabama's going to win the game. It's going to be tight. It should be like, 28-17, something like that.
All right. I like that. Aaron, what do you think?
I don't think Georgia's defensive line can get after Tua. They haven't done it all year. They're one of the worst teams in the SEC when it comes to sacks and TFLs. I think Tua's going to sit back there and feel great. If Georgia wants to rush 5 or 6, then you put one-on-one with these elite receivers. I don't know if Georgia's DBs, besides Baker, can really match up with them. Exactly. So that's an issue. And if you want to drop 7 or 8, then you're just going to give him plenty of time just to sit back in the pocket and pick you apart. So I don't know what you do to stop Alabama's offense, and I don't know if Georgia can do that. So I like Alabama to win it. And before all the Georgia fans get mad at me,
I wish I would have said that.
If you go to Vegas and you got $500, who are you putting your money on before you start getting mad at me picking Alabama? That's all I'm going to ask you right now. Before I start getting ripped on social media.
That's pretty good.
But I like Alabama, but I guess I think Georgia offensively can do enough to make it difficult for Alabama to score fast. I think Alabama's going to have to drive the field to score. I think it's a 35-21 game.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Or not 35-24 because they're going to cover the spread.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned it, Aaron. And Calvin, you're bringing it up as well. Alabama's offense is so dynamic and so diverse. They are able to spread the ball around. If you did shell coverage or roll coverage to a guy like Jerry Jeudy, guess what? Somebody's coming open
or they'll just
on
run
the
ball.
backside, or they just run the ball.
You got Ruggs, Devontae Smith, you got,
It's going to come down to it, but I don't know if I can pick against Alabama. Alabama, what they've been able to do this year, it's absolutely unbelievable. I can't wait to be there, though. Aaron, I know you'll be there. Calvin, I know you'll be there, too. Best of luck to you this weekend taking on the Baltimore Ravens, and thanks so much for being here today, man.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Huge thanks to Calvin Ridley for being here with us this week on CampusLore Live. Aaron, he's a special dude, having a hell of a year for the Atlanta Falcons in his rookie campaign. And, I mean, his resume at Alabama, just unbelievable.
Incredible. I mean, I felt like you were never going to end with the accolades of championships, SEC, national, what he did receiving on the field, and then what he's doing in the NFL right now it's incredible. What Matty Ice has at receiver is pretty special right now, and some great running backs, too. If only the defense could get healthy.
I know.
If only the defense could get healthy. But, yeah, he's a fun player to watch. And you think Alabama, you think running backs, you think offensive line, you think defense. But he said it best with him, with Julio, with the receivers they have now, with Tua. This offense is just transformed into not just run, but great receivers on the outside that can really beat you one-on-one at any given moment, which makes them even more exciting to watch and, as we've seen, even more dangerous to compete against.
Think about what he said when he was recruited by Nick Saban. Nick Saban said, come to Alabama, you're going to win championships, and I'll prepare you to go to the NFL. Okay, so he wins 2 national championships, 2 SEC championships, and he gets drafted in the first round. It's pretty good recruiting.
Well, and that's a lot. And Nick Saban can go say that to anyone. I mean, he literally can show up with a list of paper, probably like 3 or 4 pieces of paper, and just say, hey, look, I'm not just blowing smoke up here right now. Like, this is true. Like, look at all the guys who have won championships. And, oh, by the way, every year there's like 4 or 5 of them getting drafted in the first round, too. So there is a legitimate chance that could happen to you. And that's why every single year it's the #1 recruiting class or the #4 recruiting class. It's a machine. It's just never going to end until Nick Saban retires one day, which who knows? I mean,
it's so true.
I don't know if he is anytime soon.
Everybody's trying to emulate them, and especially this weekend, championship weekend. One way you can do that is by winning a conference championship. Let's go out west. Let's preview the Pac-12 championship game. It's number 17 Utah taking on number 10 Washington. Everybody thought Washington State was going to represent the Pac-12 North. Well, Washington upsets them in a snowy Apple Cup. It was a great game last weekend. Now, for sure, no Pac-12 team is going to get into the college football playoff, but Utah's been on a roll. They threw freshman quarterback Jason Shelley in there. They're on a 4-game win streak. Washington's coming off a big game also. What gives here?
It's going to be a very defensive game. Both teams run it really well, but I think defense, which is kind of crazy. You're thinking Pac-12 championship, you're thinking defense going to win because that conference has been known for throwing it all over the place, high exciting offenses, which is kind of why I was hoping Washington State would have won that game last week. And obviously weather didn't help, and then Washington's defense, we've seen them all year just dominate all over the place. Great DBs over there. So I like Washington. I think this game, like I said, it's going to be low scoring. Who can run the ball better? Myles Gaskin, running back for Washington, has been dominant all year.
Yeah, he really
been playing really, really well, and so has his defense. So I like running it. I like defense. And I like Washington to win this game. I think they have a little bit more swagger, too, than Utah.
I thought it was a great mention from Calvin also talking about rivalry games and just the mindset. If you watched the Apple Cup last week, you saw Washington's mindset, and they played like it was week 1 against Auburn in the Chick-fil-A kickoff game. Jake Browning looked the part. Myles Gaskins looked the part. I mean, that seemed like the Washington we expected to see all season long. They played their best when it matters most. I think Washington wins this game as well. They're a 5-point favorite, but you would have to expect them to win this game and go to a New Year's Six.
And Jake Browning needs to play the quarterback we've seen the past few years. It's been too hot and cold for him all year. A senior with this much playing time, you expect this big of a moment, this conference championship, he would take that to another level right now. I'm hoping, because I was really high on him last season. I was really high on him this season. And ever since about 2 years ago, everything's kind of gone down. No, his skill position at the receiver has not been great, but you got a great running back who should give you some favorable matchups on the outside because defenses have to load the box. He just has to take advantage of it, and hopefully he does this weekend.
Absolutely. Well, if you're looking for points, you mentioned the Pac-12 championship is going to feature some great defense. Let's go to the Midwest, the Big 12 championship. This is number 9 Texas taking on number 5 Oklahoma. It's the second rendition this season of the Red River Shootout, Aaron. Texas won this game 48-45. Back in October, Dicker the kicker had a fantastic game winner, and I believe this is the first ever Oklahoma-Texas Big 12 championship matchup, which is a great statistic considering this historic rivalry. But the over-under here is 78.5 points, and we're filming this on a Tuesday. It could very well be into the 80s this weekend. Big 12, no defense, all offense.
If you're ever going to bet on the Big 12, always take the over. You are very safe if you want to take the over. And going back to that first game this year, Texas was actually blowing them out. I mean, it wasn't close until about the fourth quarter. Kyler Murray just went completely off, got the game back, and then, like he said, Dicker the kicker finished it off with the field goal. I mean, Oklahoma's rolling offensively. Kyler Murray is a special football player, but I don't.
Who has the advantage in a rematch? I mean, the rematch this was in October. It's not like they played 3 weeks ago.
No, exactly. It's not like they played last week and they have to play over again. I think it's pretty even right now when it comes to mentality for this football game. I think right now Oklahoma, though, is playing with a little bit more confidence. I think Kyler Murray at the moment, every week he turned him on. He's just making play after play after play after play. I think he wills them to victory this week. I think the defense finds a way to maybe get a couple stops, but this game is going to be 52-45.
Okay.
It really is. I mean, it's going to be a high-scoring game, a lot of emotions, and once again, defenses just cannot tackle in that league. But I like Kyler Murray. I like Oklahoma to get off to a better start than they did last time they played Texas.
Yeah, I think the first 15 minutes, that first quarter, maybe quarter and a half, is what's going to be most important for Texas. You mentioned in October, I mean, they just came out the gates blazing. They had a huge lead going into the fourth quarter. I wouldn't expect that this weekend. I like what you said. Oklahoma's going to score pretty much every time they have the ball. You would hope that their defense can make 1 or 2 stops, and then the advantage goes heavily into the Sooners' favor. So take Oklahoma, I'm guessing, Aaron, and we'll see what happens with that fourth playoff
But most
spot.
importantly, take the
over 78.5. All right, the ACC championship, which is like a de facto walk-in game for Clemson, I think. It's number 2 Clemson playing against number 24 Pittsburgh. This game is in Charlotte, North Carolina. Clemson is a huge 26-point favorite. I mean, Pitt was 7-5 this season. That ACC Atlantic Conference was just no bueno.
You mean the ACC in total?
Yeah,
the ACC in total is just it's bad football this year in that conference. I mean, Pittsburgh just got blown up by Miami, 24-3 last week. This game is going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly fast. I mean, they're going to blow them out from the very first snap. I think Clemson's too dominant. And also, I think Clemson realizes if we lose this game, we're out.
Yeah.
I mean, Clemson, this isn't Alabama, or if Alabama, we talked about it, if Alabama loses to Georgia, Alabama's still in. Yeah. Everyone knows it. They would get to the number 4 seed and everything's fine. If Clemson loses this football game, no chance they get in. Or they would have to have, they would have to have Georgia lose, they'd have to have Ohio State lose, and then they'd have to have Oklahoma lose. So I think they're going in this saying, we must win this football game, and they should. I mean, they are the best team in that conference. There's no one even close to them. especially Pittsburgh and the way Pittsburgh looked last week versus Miami.
I mean, Pitt did upset them in 2016 in Death Valley, but that was 2016. I mean, that doesn't matter here.
Nope.
Clemson's far better. Trevor Lawrence is having an amazing freshman season. The way he can push the ball downfield, and then when he needs to, Etienne, the running back, is just a beast as well. They've got too many weapons. Pittsburgh's in for a long day. Just look back at what Clemson did in the ACC championship game last year against Miami. I mean, it wasn't even close. They're used to this. Pittsburgh's not. Clemson's playing for far much more. Clemson rolls, no problem whatsoever. I think the wild card game of the weekend is the Big Ten championship, right? It's number 21 Northwestern taking on number 6 Ohio State. Ohio State is a 14-point favorite here, Aaron, but they've just been so wildly inconsistent all season long. We just don't know which team is going to show up in Indianapolis.
You really don't. You look at Northwestern defensively, their past 5 games have not allowed over 21 points.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a Northwestern team that can play defense. And like you said, what Ohio State team is going to show up? It's easy to show up one week. It's easy to show up when you're at home, the crowd's loud, and you're playing your biggest rivalry on national TV. That is easy to get up for.
Yeah.
They haven't got up for Maryland. They didn't get up for Nebraska. They didn't get up for Purdue, and they got waxed. Not waxed by Purdue, but they did not look good those other games. What Ohio State team are we going to see this week? I don't know. Maybe they turned a quarter versus Michigan. Maybe they found their identity. Maybe they got the juice and excitement back because that is the team we thought they would be.
Yeah.
I mean, they are talented. Dwayne Haskins is talented. Talent all over the field. They just got to put it together. So they should win, but who knows?
You know, 2 years ago, Ohio State was in the Big Ten championship game, and it was almost the exact same scenario as this weekend. They had to make a statement win, and they did. They crushed Wisconsin like 51-10, or forgive me for the wrong score, but they blew them out. That's exactly what they're going to have to do this weekend against Northwestern. But you just mentioned it. Northwestern's defense has been stout. They only lost 1 game in the Big Ten. That was to Michigan by a score of 20-17. But their other 3 losses, Aaron, Duke, Akron, and Notre Dame. So that's not too good for Northwestern. I am just so shocked to see Ohio State have the season that they've had. I'm so scared of that defense regressing back to what we've seen for most of the second half of the season.
Well, I still don't think if Oklahoma wins, and I don't know what your thoughts on this, if Oklahoma wins, they're in.
Really?
Yes. I would pick Oklahoma right now over Ohio State.
Wow.
They've been more consistent. You look at Oklahoma's only loss, 3 points to Texas.
Yep.
You look at Ohio State's loss, a blowout to Purdue.
Yep,
and then we keep
blowout.
bringing up all those other games they played. One game looks great.
Yes.
Especially the way they won, the way they beat Michigan. But it's a whole season, man.
For sure.
Their whole season has just not been elite. And I know Oklahoma gives up a ton of points, but I use the analogy of baseball. You know, some baseball teams have great pitchers, and they're just going to win games 2-0, 3-0. And then there's some baseball teams that have a bunch of home run hitters, and they're going to win 10-7 every night. Does one team better than the other? I don't know.
Don't know until they play each other.
You win, you win, you win. And Oklahoma's winning. Yes, they're winning by scoring 60 points and giving up 50, but they're still winning those ball games. I got to take Oklahoma. If you had to pick one of those two teams as that number 4 spot after this weekend.
Okay, we're going to make our college football playoff predictions here in a minute, but give me your Big Ten championship prediction. Is there any way Northwestern can relish that underdog role and make a play here, or is Ohio State winning by a big
If
number?
Ohio State even plays close to the potential that they could, or even close to what they did last week versus Michigan, they win by 17 points.
Yeah, I think.
But if this is the Ohio State we saw versus, Purdue, then maybe this is a close game. It's just we don't know what we're going to get. They're too hot and cold to really make any kind of prediction, but they should dominate this football game.
I totally agree, especially indoors in Indianapolis. The flashes that we saw of Dwayne Haskins last week against Michigan, it looked like early season Dwayne Haskins, that Heisman favorite Dwayne Haskins, and that offense just seemed to gel. I would expect them to take that right into this week, regardless of how stout Northwestern's defense has been this season. I think Ohio State wins by a big number. Okay, so we said Oklahoma's going to win. We said Ohio State's going to win. Alabama, Georgia, we said it'd be close, so I think we both picked Alabama there. What's going to happen in the college football playoff?
Well, don't forget, Drew, UCF has a big conference.
Let's talk about the human element in the committee room, because Mackenzie Milton, UCF's quarterback, a fantastic player, had a horrific knee injury last week. He's out for indefinite time because his surgery was traumatic. They had to pretty much save his leg. Prayers up to him and his family for sure, but there's 12 people in that room, or 16, excuse me, in the committee room. What do they look at UCF and say, can we put them in the college football playoff without their best player?
If if somehow Georgia loses, Ohio State loses, and Oklahoma loses, I'd put them
Three dominoes.
3 dominoes down. They should be ranked number 7 this week.
Yes.
When the committee decides on Tuesday night. You have to put them in there. I mean, you're pretty much this team that hasn't lost a game in 2 years. I know they lost their best player, but if they go out there and beat Memphis, and if they beat Memphis by double digits, and like I said, all 3 of those dominoes fall, which they really could fall.
They really could. You're totally right.
Alabama is most likely going to beat Georgia. Texas has already beaten Oklahoma once, and then, like I said, Ohio State, who knows what we're going to get. So it could happen.
Yeah.
And I would just love for it to happen just so we can end this discussion.
For sure.
Just so it could be over with.
But now that they don't have Mackenzie Milton, it'll just continue on.
Yeah, but every team has injuries.
Absolutely.
I mean, every team has some kind of injury, battling something. And yes, they're going to use it as an excuse, but still, regardless, I guarantee if Mackenzie Milton was healthy, Alabama would still wax you. I apologize, UCF. You give Nick Saban a month to prepare and have that anger because that UCF thought their national championship team last season. I would love to see it. I hope it happens. I kind of wish it will happen just so we can all stop talking about it.
All right, so there's 3 playoff spots already taken. Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame. Back to the human element. They've got 1 team to pick. Do the people in the room look at Oklahoma's lack of defense completely, or do they look at Ohio State's wildly inconsistent season? What gives, what breaks there, who gets put in the 4th spot?
I think we saw it last year. I mean, Ohio State's loss last season and the way they lost, they put Alabama ahead of them. I think that is pretty much showing what the committee thinks about losing to certain teams and the way you lose. I mean, they got blown out by Purdue. Like I said, I don't think the Michigan game, how sexy and beautiful and awesome it was for Ohio State, I don't think that gets them over Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I think Oklahoma's been too consistent, too good. Listen, they're winning. They're finding ways to win. I think the committee would pick Oklahoma, so we're going to find out. But I think if Oklahoma beats Texas, they're in.
That's the beauty of football. We're all going to find out. The games have to be played, and we'll watch them and learn at the same time. But if there's anything to expect, don't expect shock. Don't think it's going to happen what you think is going to happen. It'll be crazy, as was shown last week. For sure. All right, well, thanks for joining us for another episode of Campus Lore Live. A huge thanks to the College Football Hall of Fame right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Whenever you're in Atlanta, especially with the holidays here, come by the College Football Hall of Fame. Be sure to check it out. It does not matter what team or school you're a fan of. As soon as you walk in, they will tailor the entire experience just to you. And another huge thanks to Calvin Ridley also, Aaron. Good stuff there. So we will see you next week. Thanks for watching Campus Lore Live.